Hello and welcome to Pure English Practice. I'm Karen Taylor of the Color Vowel chart. I'm going to go ahead and post my chart so that you can see that. Here we go. All right. And today is a small session. If you're watching this as a recorded session, just know, I did not get around to promoting it this week, so you didn't get a reminder, but you can always go to the Pure English Practice community and look at the upcoming topics. And if you like them, if you add a little interest to them, then you'll get, I believe, an automatic reminder possibly. I'll show you what I mean. So here we are here. This is our Pure English Practice page. You can go to learn.colorvowel.com to see our pages. And I think this one is just, there we go. It's just a little small. This gives you a little bit of a hint. Here are upcoming. You can see that it's live now. If you go to the next event, I think if it's you, I think you can like it and it'll show, who's interested. Okay. Can I ask, Caro, I think you had expressed your interest in this. Did you receive a reminder?
Yes, I did yesterday, I believe.
Great. From our system, from the platform.
Yes, from the platform, right.
Exactly. So this is the way, everybody, to be sure that you are signed up or that you get a reminder about an upcoming session. You can see all of our upcoming sessions. And so while we're here, let me just mention, today we're focusing on shh, and ch, and similar sounds in the mouth, okay? Later this month on April 20th, we will explore the topic of unstressed syllables. So when I'm talking like this, I have some big stressed syllables, but I also have all of those little syllables. And we want to know more about how they behave. You can always learn more about a topic down below, okay? And then you can see that in May, I have 2 topics already posted. So you can show your interest down here and get those reminders, okay? While we're also here, just as a little orientation, I also post the recorded sessions right here under recorded sessions. And if you're not sure or don't remember to look there, all of those appear on the homepage, okay? So yesterday I posted a beautiful video by Keenan Rhodes, some helpful information there. And did you get to see that? Who got to see that?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, so you can go back there after this session to watch Keenan's session on the CH sound, or we might watch a little bit of it together as our session today, okay, to discuss, all right? And so I tagged you and you might have gotten a little email about that, okay? And actually today we'll also reply to Alan's question about a couple of words. So I get a lot of information from you, our visitors, by having you post here, okay? If you have questions, you can post a question. All of these end up in the homepage when they're new, okay? Wonderful. So I'll stop on that. So we're here today, and remind me, Gabriela, I asked you, this is your first time with Pure English Practice?
Yes, it is.
Great. Well, we'll get started, and it's basically just a short, but I think potentially powerful class where we practice English. And I try to resist my temptation to talk about English too much, because we can always do that by looking at YouTube videos, or, we can have other conversations. But in this class, we do something that is harder to find, and that is practice, actually using a word and a phrase in context and getting that verbal mouth practice with the brain activated. Okay, so we're glad to have you. Welcome, Carol. Good to see you. Hi, Caro. Over in the chat is a good time to just say hello from, and I'm up in Maryland, so you can grab the chat, mention where you are. I remember that Gabriela said she's in Mississippi. That's a great word. There's a little memory rhyme about Mississippi that English-speaking children learn while they grow up. Have you heard this little rhyme, Gabriela?
Probably
It's
no.
Mississippi. Have you heard that? No? So it's hard to spell, right? Mississippi, you sort of wonder like how many S's and how many I's and how many P's. And so to help us know how to spell it, we actually made a little chant out of it that's very well known in the United States. So we could just start as a warm up with that. How about that? And I'll put Mississippi in the chat. Mississippi. I'm sure we can find other examples of this in your language from both of you, I think, speak Spanish. You'll have some that help you remember, but let's try this one, right? Try this with me like this. So, Mississippi. Let's stop for a minute. Be sure to mute yourselves. Yeah, let's mute and mute and mute. Great. So this is the part where you do what I do and say what I say. So if I use a hand like this, go ahead and show me a hand like this. There we go. And usually your dominant hand. So if you're left-handed, use your left hand. Otherwise, use your right hand. Okay. And why we're doing this is to activate a certain part of the brain that is not the language brain, because the language brain is listening with your first language and trying to make you speak with your first language. So we're going to override language brain by moving into the physical and the musical brain. Okay. So language brain, rest of the brain, hand, voice, rhythm. Okay. So here we go. Let's try do what I do. Do what I do. Do what I do. Thanks. Do what I do. Good. Try say what I say. Say what I say. Say what I say. Say what I say. Try both. Do what I do. Say what I say. Do what I do. Say what I say. Good. Do what I do. Say what I say. Do what I do. Say what I say. Good. And stop. Well done. So just a little bit of how we go. I will slow down sometimes, and then I'll go back to normal speed. If this is tricky for you, this is a bit of the purpose, right? Is to try to let go, stop thinking about the individual words, and instead treat it more like dancing. Stop looking at your feet. Instead, look up and feel the rhythm of the music and move to it with your instructor, which is me today. Okay. So that do what I do becomes do what I do. Try that. Do what I do. Good. And listen, say what I say. Say what I say. Good. And go. Do what I do. Say what I say. Do that again. Do what I do. And say what I say. Good. And do what I do. Say what I say. One more. And do what I do. And say what I say. Good. We'll be doing that a lot with different words and phrases. The second part of our practice involves using color vowels. Color vowels are a way to understand which sound you need to use in that song. So do in do what I do, right? Do has a color. And here I'll invite Gabriela, since she's new. Hi, Gabriela. You want to open your mic? I'll invite you.
Okay.
Great. So Gabriela, here on the chart, I'm going to give you a couple of choices. For do, is do a green word or a blue word? Listen to it. If it were green, it would be green tea D. If it's blue, it would be blue moon dew. So what color is dew? Is it green or blue?
Blue.
Exactly. Okay. Do you use Blue Canoe, Gabriela?
I use the application, yes.
Perfect. So you're a little bit familiar with, at least somewhat familiar. Great. Some people are brand new to color vowels, so you're helping us out with your answers. So thank you. So blue moon dew is a blue word. What about say what I say? Yeah. Say what I say. Gabriela, what color is say? Say.
Should be great day, say.
That's right. So gray day say is located here in the front of the chart. I say the front because it's oriented this way with my mouth pointing that way. So we'll come down to, yeah, here's say, gray day, say. Beautiful. Greetings, Michelle. Glad to have you here, Carol. So we have some teachers in the room. We have learners in the room. Okay. Now let's come back to Mississippi since it came up. We've been talking about how Mississippi is a tricky word to spell. And there's a very well-known chant that English speakers know growing up. And it goes like this. Mississippi. Mississippi. Good. Now I'm going to mute. We'll practice just a couple times and then we'll come back to Gabriela. Ready? Mississippi. 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 One more. Mississippi. Good. So we now can spell Mississippi easily. Gabriela, you want to try that one? And Caro, let's unmute. I'll do it once slowly, and you can simply repeat after me. Ready?
Mississippi.
Good.
Mississippi.
Great. And stop.
MISSIS. Okay.
No, finish up. One more.
MISSISSISSISSPPI.
Good. Now we had Mississippi.
Mississippi.
So we only want, so it's, think of it this way. Let's count. Watch.
MISSISSPPI.
Great. So there are two groups of S's, right? The SSISSIPPI. Caro, you want to give that a try?
Okay. MISSISSIPPI.
That's it. You did it. Yeah, so it's two groups of S's and then the PPs come. MISSISSIPPI. One more time from Gabriela. I know you want to do it.
MISSISSIPPI.
Good. And now maybe your hands might be even distracting. You can just try it from your mind.
Okay. MISSISSIPPI.
Beautiful. You got it. So that's an example of a chant, and we can use a chant to make something a song in our mind. And by making that a song in our mind, we can remember it in a new way, in a different way, with a different sensation. And a lot of English it has a particular music and it has a particular rhythm that is different than your first language. Okay. In this case, I think we can say Spanish because we have such a small room today, right? So Spanish has a different rhythm than English. Every language has its own special rhythm, but bridging into English as your second or third language, it can feel very tricky to learn it. By using it and putting it in musical mind, we can actually, acquire this and remember it. Okay, wonderful. Hey, folks, let's warm up with the chart a little bit more. We're just going to try a simple chant. This one is a simple word-based chant. Okay, so here we are. Actually, let's try a phrase-based chant since we're going to use phrases today. Ready? And we're muted. You're following me. So I start here and then it's your turn with me. You ready? It's me. It's me. Green tea. It's me. It's simple. It's simple. Silver pin. It's simple. That's great. That's great. Gray day. That's great. You're the best. You're the best. Red pepper. You're the best. That's a fact. That's a fact. Black cat. That's a fact. Are you on? Are you on? Olive sock. Are you on? Call it off. Call it off. Auburn dog. Call it off. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Turquoise toy. Enjoy it. Of course. Of course. Orange door. Of course. Where am I? I know. I know. Rose boat. I know. Looks good. Looks good. Wooden hook. Looks good. And you? And you? Blue moon. And you? Good. Stand up. Do that. Stand up. A cup of mustard. Stand up. That's perfect. That's perfect. Purple shirt. That's perfect. Sit down. Sit down. Brown cow. Sit down. Be quiet. Be quiet. White tie. Be quiet. So, any questions about the chart today or a sound on the chart? I'll make this bigger because I didn't earlier.
I never
Questions
get the silver ping in the application. It's always like I'm pronouncing something else.
Yeah. Do you know what that something else is, Gabriela? Do you remember the feedback?
Usually a
we
white
get?
tie, or it can
Okay,
be
sometimes
green,
it's white.
teen, take to be white.
That's right. Usually for a Spanish speaker like you, so often the feedback will be, this is a silver word. You're using green tea, right? Something like that. So let's just practice the difference between those two sounds and know that you can use this strategy when you're using Blue Canoe as a kind of preparation. Come up here and smile. Good. Now you can use your arm. What we're doing here is using our arm in sync with our jaw. So think of this as almost like an extension of your jaw, if you're looking at it. And as I'll come this way, just so that, there we go. So you can hear my voice more. So if my jaw and my arm move at the same time and I move my arm down, I can hear the change of sound. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Now we're coming all the way down to black cat as an extreme difference from green. Right? Yeah. From one end to the other. High, low jaw. But now if we stop just a little bit south of green as we go down in the jaw, we'll actually be able to hear silver. So we'll come slowly. Try it again. Good. And there's, before it becomes red, red. Okay. We can come back. It's right here. Now I have a special trick for, especially for people whose language, first language, has one sound here. If you, for example, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, several others have one sound here, and we have two in English. And that trick is passed along to me by Gabby Tinoco, who's a Color Vowel trained teacher. She has a wonderful sort of mental trick for this that she introduced me to. And that is to have a green smile, E. But now I want you to make a red position tongue. So now smile, and you'll find yourself producing this middle sound. So again, it's a green smile with a red tongue, if that makes sense. Caro, I know you're very familiar with the chart and yoga, We've done this a lot in our class, Speak Confidently, that Cato's been in. Cato, does this trick work for you? You want to try it?
E.
Yeah. So don't move your smile. I want you to leave your jaw where it is, E, but only move your tongue into a red place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little tricky because you need to leave your smile here. Right? So take it as just an idea. Gabriela, does this feel strange to you? Sort of a new idea. Yeah. Try it the other way, Caro. I love that you're trying this. Try red.
Right.
And now keep your tongue in one place, but smile more. That's interesting. It sounds pretty green, but I think I heard a little silver there. Meaning, so it's this position between the two, right? And you can play with it. You're not going to hear it very easily, I must say, because
Green
your brain doesn't want you to hear it. Good. Now let's try some words. We'll just try for the anchor, silver. So silver pin.
Silver pin, yeah.
Good. I'm hearing a lot of green
Silver
still.
pin, yeah.
Good. So now
Silver
I'd like
pin,
this,
yeah.
Gabriela. Try this. Come up, say
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Now say silver.
Silver.
That's it. That was really good. So now you know how to get there.
Mhm.
And you can use, it can be a whole arm, or you can start to do a small thing, silver, or,
Yeah.
right? For
Silver.
example, the word might, did
Silver.
you, yeah, for
Yeah,
example, the word
silver.
might be, let's see, a nice silver word, instrument, right? I don't know. Instrument.
Yeah, instrument.
That sounded great. Caro, you want to give that a try? Instrument.
Instrument.
Again?
Instrument.
Wow. I mean, I know it's a good strategy, but to hear you do it is amazing. It just sounds great. It's very silver. And again, I know I want you to know I'm not giving false praise on this. And I mean, Michelle's in the room and Carol's in the room. I'm genuinely impressed, and I know you can't hear it also. So it's, you're thinking, but what did I do differently? But by anchoring your mouth through movement, you will produce this sound more accurately than if you just think it. Okay, so if we contrast sheep and ship, let's just try that one. And Gabriela, you can open your mic too. And just try this, ship.
Yeah, ship.
Yep. And then sheep.
Sheep.
Good. So this one is the animal. This is the boat. Sheep, ship.
Sheep, ship.
That's it.
Sheep, ship.
Good. Now you might not be able to hear the difference when somebody's speaking or when you're speaking, but you can be sure that you're adjusting your position if you use that little physical trick. Ship.
Yeah, ship.
Great, great. Caro, you want to just try that?
Ship.
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 So the first one is SHIP.
The first one, green, is sheep, which is SHEEP.
Oh,
And that one is green, green tea, sheep. There's in the chat, okay? And the second one is silver pin ship, the boat. Como un barco,
okay.
right?
So
Yeah,
it's
and that's kind of a classic test of the sound that many, textbooks and classrooms use. So I chose a simple one syllable word. But I'm doing that to prepare you for words you like to use, like beach, right? Because if you move from beach down into silver, it becomes a word, a taboo word, or a word we don't want to say necessarily, right? So sheet, like a sheet of paper would be the green tea. So green tea sheet, a sheet of paper, sheet, okay? And then you've got the silver tin, and I'll just put it in, oh shit, right? Not a word I say, all the time on YouTube, but we need to know how to contrast the word we want from the word we don't want. So sheet, shit, right? Sheet, shit. Yeah.
Shit.
If you know how to make silver, then you
Sheet.
also know how not
Shit.
to make silver. Okay. So try sheet, sheet, sheet.
Sheet.
Great. And then if you wanted to make silver for a word you want, like ship, right? Yeah, ship, ship, ship. Beautiful. Caro, it sounds great. All right. Now we're into a very beautiful transition, if we would. Gabriela, do you feel like that helps you between green and silver?
I will test with my husband.
Okay.
That is so critical.
Yeah. Well,
he's an American,
it's not
and
yeah, I know. It's tricky. I want you to know it's not an automatic solution. You have to mindfully use it.
Yes.
So your accent, your Spanish speaking accent in English is one that it's normal to have an accent. Okay. You're not going to eliminate an accent. It's what we all have. Okay. But for those important words, when you know you're about to get to an important silver word, you can do a little mental adjustment with a little action. Yeah, ship. Okay. Yeah, interesting. That's a really common word, right? Yeah, interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. Gabrielle, you want to try that? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
It sounds great. It's just so, I know Michelle's got her camera on. We're both like, wow. I mean, and I'm the one, I teach this strategy all the time, but to hear it sound so good, and to sound so silver, is fascinating. And it's just proof that the brain is an amazing thing that we can actually train a little bit with our bodies. Okay, beautiful. Give that a try. Let us know. That community over there in Pure English Practice is a great place to post your experiences and your questions and your words. Okay. Now, Caro, I know, came for the sh of sheep and ship. We've been focusing on the vowels just now, but it doesn't mean we don't want to make room for tricky consonants. Caro, tell me about your experience with sh. What kinds of words and what is the problem?
Oh, when the word, like the one that I was asking, sheep, like CHEAP, and sheep.
Good.
Green tea. So
Perfect.
CHEAP is what? It's also cheap. It's a green tea, right?
Yeah. Well, so if we want to, we have 4 words. So let me actually create a little, I want a small whiteboard to work on, and I'll just give us one here. Okay. So I just have a nice blank document, and I'll take this out. Okay. So we have, there are 4. There's sheep, ship,
Sheep, right.
cheap, chip. Okay. Those are 4 different words. And we've got 2 of them are green. And let me I'll grab some green symbols here for us. So we have those available. 1 second here. So for a moment, how would we use chip? If you hear chip, do you hear the CH or the SH? You can use the chat.
CH.
Good, you hear that CH, right? Great. There we go. Just grab something for us. See, there we go. Boom. Okay, untitled. All right, and so here we are once again. We can play around a little bit, okay? And so we've got these two are the green words on this side. It's like a column, okay? And over here, we've got chip and ship, okay? All right, so we know about the vowel issue because we've just been practicing those, all right? Now, think of this as columns. Now we have rows. So we have sheep and ship, okay? Let's just try them with a hand. Sheep, ship. Caro?
Sheep. Ship.
Good. And I'm doing 1 and 2 to make sure we're saying all the same thing, right? So sheep, ship, go.
Sheep. Ship.
Good. Now, with this one, it's tricky because the SH versus CH sounds are, they're made in the same place in the mouth. So now look at me rather than the word. We've got sh. Can you do that with me? Caro, first you and then Gabriela. Good. Shh. Your turn. Good. So 1 is a continuous flow of air. Shh. That's the SH sound. Okay. A lot like the S sound has a flow of air. You can remember because the S in the written form, the S is a continual sound and SH is continuous. Shh.
Continuous. Okay.
Now I'm just giving you a little link between the written and the spoken. Okay. In the written form, then if we change over to, so here, I'll just make a little note here that SH, sorry, is continuous air. That's what I'll call it. You're blowing air or letting air out of your mouth continuously. Shh, right? That's different from cheap, cheap, cheap and chip, okay? These are going to be a puff of air. So the difference here, if you remember, the little trick for you to remember isn't as easy. The C, can think of it as like the C of cat, right? Notice how I can't continue it. So if you then use that as a little reminder that CH is also a puff of air. And then you've got cheap. Okay, so that's what we need to know. Now, can we do it? That's a good question. And so in doing it, I'm going to move between these two sounds, the SH and the CH. And we're going to try just a little mouth exercise. So try this with me. You'll listen and you can mute yourselves. We'll do a little bit of just practice. Okay, so there's mute and mute. Great. So we'll try just with my hands here. Ch, ch, sh, ch, 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 ch. Right? Can I hear each of you try that? And it's a little tricky with Zoom, by the way, because it can change the way I can't hear you maybe when we make these sounds, these whispery sounds, but let's try it. Caro and Gabriela, you can open your mics and we'll have Caro go first and then Gabriela. So I'll go 1 and then you do it 3 more times. Listen here. 2 more times. Good. Okay. Now I'll have you stop for a minute because I can't actually hear it, but I can see it. I can see your mouth releasing on. And you should feel the air build up in your chest because you're preventing air from escaping at the beginning of that sound. Okay. It's a little bit like, do you feel how you can hold for the P sound? Yeah. Now do it with the CH. Yeah. So it's a very sudden sound, but we're going to connect it to a vowel sound, right? So I'm going to change over from sheep and cheap to a nice orange word, chore. This is what I give my kids, a chore. I'll write it in the chat. Chore. A chore is like a little task, right? That they have to do. Like maybe they need to sweep the bathroom floor or make their bed. Chore. Okay. That's different from the shore, which is again, it's like talking about the beach where the sand is. Okay. So we're talking about the beach over and over. But yeah, so we have chore and shore. Chore
Short
and
and chore.
Good. Now, a lot of times, this is a very sort of tricky distinction. Know that also the words you use around these words will help you a lot. So you don't have to get it perfectly. You just need to, be natural with your speech, grammatical, of course, and have enough reference, right? So do your chore, and you're talking to your kid, is enough for them to know what you said. Okay. And if you say do your shore, it's still comprehensible. It's so important to give that kindness to yourself that none of us have to be perfect about the way we say a word, so long as we give enough information around it and a close enough pronunciation to be understood. Okay. Because all of these are sounds that are one sound in your Spanish speaking mind and two sounds in your English speaking learning mind. Okay. So you can edge in this way with some information. Chore, shore, chore, shore, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Gabriela, you want to give that one a try? We've got a kind of a chispa, and it's great. Chispa, chore.
Short. Short.
Good. And then
Short.
shore.
Short.
Good. Yeah, exactly. So you want to use, if you need to use a reminder, Caro, you can use a physical reminder for sure, chore, sure,
Short.
chore.
Short.
Yeah,
Short.
exactly.
Short.
So this
Short.
word short, is that the word you're saying, Gabriela? Are you saying short?
And also short. Short is like the baby, right? The chore to do exercise or no? Or is the chore of
Can you
doing
spell it for me,
and
please?
the house?
We've got
Spell
chore
it.
in the house.
Chore in the house, CHORE. The one
That's
that is
right.
short. And
Exactly.
the chore of the sea, like I was walking by the shore sea, right?
Right. Okay, so
CHORE.
here, yeah, exactly. So I think I need to make a little, let's see. I want to get rid of these guys for a minute. I'm going to stop with these guys. Okay. The shore or also short. Okay. So sheep, shore, and chore, short, and then cheap, chore, and then short is not a word of English. Okay. I'm just going to put it in gray to show that it's not a word of English. Okay. Does that make sense when I say it's not a word of English?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. But if you say short, then the English listener is going to say, oh, they must have meant short, right? They're going to go to the closest logical meaning. She's very short. Oh, she's short, right? So that's what's beautiful about the listener mind, is that we can make relationships and find that, oh, this is close by, right? In case you make a mistake or you don't hold it as long as it needs to go, right? So sheep, shore, short, cheap, short, sorry, cheap, chore, short. Yeah. So once again, puff of air. Okay. So we'll leave a little bit of practice. I'll see if I can post some practice for you around that. This one is tricky. This consonant is tricky for Zoom when we're live because I can't monitor how you really sound, right? That's kind of close work that we can do in video, right? And by the way, just as a mention, earlier I mentioned Pure English Practice as this free class, but also we have our Speak Confidently course, which we do through video and coaching feedback. And that way the coach can really listen to how you're speaking instead of trying to hear it over Zoom, right? Zoom is a wonderful tool for our live classes that we hold, but then we have our video tasks, and that's where people can really listen to each other. Okay, wonderful. So that's a little bit about SH and CH. Is that helpful to you, Kato? Is there any new understanding for you?
Oh, yes, definitely. It definitely help the difference. Now I can see CH is just, as it says, a puff of air. Shh.
Yeah.
And then the long one is short.
Yeah, exactly. So just knowing, part of this is knowing about the sounds, an intellectual knowing, right? And then part of this is practicing. So having a little physical cue to remind you, shh, ch, shh, ch, so that I'm using my long hand, in case you can't hear me, shh, is for this SH continuous sound. That way you can hold it until sheep, right? Sheep for sheep. And then if you're contrasting it, cheap, cheap. So which word lasts longer, sheep or cheap?
Sheep.
The first
Sheep, exactly, the first one. Yeah.
Sheep.
Not because of this part, but because of the consonant beginning of it. Okay, great. Wonderful. I had one question from another one of our Pure English Practice participants. He left it there in yesterday, our friend Alan. And that was a question about, and it's very relevant because the first word is child, and the second word is adult. Both of these are now getting away from the CH sound, but getting into his question about the ending of these words. And this is our sort of third point for the day as we wrap up. So child, adult. Let me go ahead and mute people. Let's try a little bit of pure practice because there are two things we have to remember. One is we've got those endings, the L sound and the D of child. But then the question is it the word by itself, or is the word going to connect to another word rather? So I'm going to lead a little bit of practice for us, and we'll start with adult. Now what color? Cup of mustard, adult, right? Adult. A cup of mustard, adult. Good. Child. White tie, child. White tie, child, right? Child, and stop. Listen carefully. It's very tempting to think that the D of child, CHILD, has to be said as a D, but not always. If it's the end of a sentence, I'm going with my child. I'm going with my child. I'm going with my child. There's a very small ending at the end that's like almost like a small released D or T. It doesn't matter. You don't need to voice it. Child. Try it with a T sound. Child. Good. So the LT endings are going to be sounding the same as the LD endings. Child, adult, child, adult. They have almost the same sound if it's the end of a sentence. I'm going with an adult. I'm going with an adult. I'm going with a child. I'm going with a child. Now, the listeners in the room, Carol, Michelle, might be noticing there is for us in our minds and even in performance, a slight difference at the end, but it's not significant enough to spend a lot of mental energy on. So learners, I want you to think of it this way. End of a sentence, it needs to just have a sound that's a lot like a T, but a very tiny one, not a very pronounced one. Child, adult, child, adult. Okay. That way you get credit for saying that last sound and it doesn't sound like child, adult, child, adult. That would be strange. We would notice this. It would be weird, right? So we want that final consonant sound, child, adult, child, adult. Try that. Child, adult, child, adult. Good. Now, let me just hear from each of you, right? Child, adult, like that. Caro?
Child, adult. Child,
Good.
adult.
Good. And now scale back and don't even, just child, adult, child, adult. It's almost inaudible, but you're touching. Can you try that?
Child, adult. Child,
Yeah.
adult.
Yeah. So that ending is very subtle, not a lot of air puffing out, just the softest touch, like a, I don't know, something like this. Child, adult, not child, adult. No, child, adult, like
Child.
that. Gabrielle, you want to try that? Child, adult. And I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead.
Child, adult, child, adult,
Good. A little bit more on child. I'm hearing child. So child.
child,
Yes.
adult,
Great.
child, adult.
Great. That way we don't end up overemphasizing and saying child, adult, like this. It's just a very soft ending when it's
I do
the
that.
end. Yeah.
Child.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can relax on that. That's nice. When it's the end of a sentence, end of a phrase, you can relax and just touch it and be done. I'm going with my child. Try that, Gabriela.
I'm going with my child. I'm going with
Yep,
my
that's
adult.
beautiful.
I'm going-
Now, the last piece is putting together, oh my gosh, these words don't always end the sentence. A lot of times there's another word coming. So I'm going to give you a situation where we say the child is coming. The child is coming. Notice child is, those two words are connecting to each other. The child is coming. And listen, diz, diz, diz. The child is
The
coming.
child is coming.
Good. So we're connecting that D of
The
child
child
to the
is
next
coming.
word a lot of
The
times.
child is coming.
Yeah.
The child is coming.
The child is. Try that,
The
Gabriela.
child
Diz.
is.
Diz.
Okay.
Say diz. Good. And you can stay open, Gabriela. We want to hear you, right? So we try this with me. Diz, diz, diz. Caro.
This,
This.
Good. It's this tiny word. Diz. The
This,
child is
this.
coming, or the
child is
child's coming, but there's still
The
that
child
feeling of
is
the two
coming.
connecting. Good.
The child is coming. The child
Good.
is coming.
Now do a contraction. The child's coming.
The child's coming.
Yeah. Great. Great. The child's coming.
The
The
child's coming.
adult. Yeah. The adult is here.
The adult is
adult-
here.
Yeah.
The adult is here.
Great.
The adult
So in
is
that
here.
case, good. You're taking the T of adult and connecting it to the next word. Okay. A better example, because is always going to contract. We like to say the adult's coming, the child's coming. But what if the next word is, for example, I'm trying to think of a nice vowel starting word. Always. The child always comes. The child always comes.
Always come. The
Good. So
child
let's practice
always
that. I'll
come.
mute you. Good. We're going to mute that because what's nice about these is we'll hear that nice connection of always for child, always, child, always. And then we'll hear the tallways of adult, adult, adult always comes. The adult always comes. So let's try that a little bit. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, listen to me. The child always comes. The child always comes. The child, the child, the child always comes. Good. The child always comes. The child always comes. The child, the child, the child always comes. Good. The adult always comes. The adult always comes. The adult, the adult, the adult always comes. And stop. I have to listen to myself. I'll tell you a little secret or a little confession. With adult, because that T is at the end, we often will make it just a stop. We'll say the adult always. You hear that difference? Adult always. We'll use a little in the middle. That's called a glottal. The adult always. The adult always comes, right? Adults always come. Huh, I like that. Michelle has a really nice little chant in the side there with some useful words. Child education, adult education. Education is a great word for this because it starts with a vowel, right? So child education, hear that D? Child education, child education. Now we can add stress, child education, right? Child education, child education. You hear deducation is that interesting sensation, deducation, not education, but deducation because the D of child is connecting. Child education, child education, child education. Good. Child education. Really good. Let me hear child education from each of you, and then we'll do adult and finish up. Okay. Caro, can I hear child education?
Child education.
One more.
Child education.
Great. So that feeling of linking is a new feeling, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It creates that rhythm of connectedness that we are so fond of in English. And it kind of brings down the listener's energy to sound. It makes it feel like they're listening to, it sounds very natural to them. So early childhood, early child education, early childhood education. Okay, very connected. Gabriela, let's just hear from you. Child education class.
Child dedication, child dedication, child dedication, child
Good.
dedication.
Good. I want to hear, I'm going to just focus in on you since Gabriela, you're new. I want to give you a little extra, focus. So you'll come back with education. Education. Say it again.
Education.
Good. I want you to know something that's pretty exciting and weird about English. Let me use my whiteboard for this word. Education.
Education.
And I'm just going to add it. Yeah. So education. Let's just use this one there. That's better. Okay. So here's education, and I'll make it a little bigger for us. Education. What color is education, by the way? Education.
Education. Education. You gotta be blue moon.
Okay, that is one of the syllables. That would be the blue
Education.
sound. So let's listen to it and use my hand. Education.
Education. Education. Education.
Careful, watch. Education. Education.
Education. Education.
No.
Edu-
Yeah.
no.
So Gabriela, let me stop sharing. We'll look at each other. So try this with me. I'm going to do it 4 times and then you do it once. Ready? Education. 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 You.
Education.
Yes.
Education.
Careful.
Education.
Oh, it's fascinating. So listen,
Education.
I'm going to tell you that this is a gray word. Gray
Great
day
word.
education. Go.
Education. Education.
Try 3rd syllable. Education.
Education.
Yes.
Education. Education.
Yes.
Education.
Good. One more way to try it is I'm going to use a different strategy here. This is my hands here. So put your hands here for a minute. Say eh, eh, eh.
Eh.
Good.
Eh.
Now,
Eh.
education.
Education.
Oh, watch. It's
Education.
small and
Small.
big. So
Education.
education. Yes.
Education.
Great. Now,
Education.
yes, beautiful. Now, if we look at that word, let's look at it with education. I can mark it as a gray word. Okay. It has 4 syllables, but only one is going to be stressed with a lot of good time. Okay. Education. I'll make this a little bit bigger for all of us. Okay. There we are. Okay. Education. And there's that gray syllable, needs so much time. Educate. And that's why on Blue Canoe, in Blue Canoe, we use
Education.
the hand. Yep. Education. Good. There's a little
Education.
blue sound here. There's a little red sound
Education.
here, but it's a gray word, right? Good. Now, the other part I wanted to point out that you'll find fun is I want you to think of that D as also having a little J right there. Okay. I'm going to put it in gray because it's not part of the spelling, but it's not como en español es educación,
Correct.
educación.
Yes.
In English, education.
Education.
Yep. Education. Exactly. So one more time, I'll say it, then you say it. Gray day education. You.
Great day education.
Beautiful. Caro. You want to try that once?
She's on mute.
Great day education.
Good. And then the last special touch is to recognize that in English, we don't provide a vowel, a color for every syllable when it's next to the big color. So here's education. So in a sense, when you say it's small, we could say education. But when we speak it, actually, this becomes a very small sound. Edge, 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 not edu. Education.
Education.
Yeah, education. So we reduce this, we make it very small. And we make it, it's just not a blue sound. We'll call it, I can call it schwa, teachers. But maybe we're new to that possibly. But this little symbol we can use here to show how this really behaves. Okay. Edge. This symbol is useful to get it what we do in English. And that's next week's the 2 weeks from now. Our next topic is unstress. So this symbol is called schwa. And the meaning of it is we use it to talk about unstress. Schwa. Okay. And schwa is for the sound of unstressed syllables. And what that means is they don't have a color. They become very small and they sound edge, education, education. Yeah.
Education.
And for a speaker of Spanish, this is very significant. It's sort of the last mile of sounding more and more like the rhythm of English. If you can spend the small amount of time on this instead of making a big blue sound, education, that takes extra time and it disturbs the rhythm of English. So if we can use our bodies and stop looking, here we are, ready? Education.
Education.
Yeah. And then we just relax. No body at all. Education. Yeah.
Education.
Exactly. Okay. This comes up all the time. Education is just one example, everybody. But this gives you a taste of what we do. And with this tiny class today, we were able to do all this work, right? Really listen, make little adjustments, learn something new, right? And practice. I'd like to finish up with takeaways. What's new for you? What do you want to really remember about today? And that includes the teachers in the room. They're welcome to open up and let us know. But I'd like to start with our participants. What's new today, Caro?
Well, for me, there were two things that going between green tea and silver tea. Yeah. Just stopping there, I can start to feel it.
Yeah.
That was a big takeaway. And then again, the CH and the SH. C is just short. Short, long, short. Like the short you ask your kids to do.
The chore, right? The chore.
Sure.
So maybe
Sure.
because you're a speaker of Spanish, we can say the chispa, como, like it's sudden. Chispa.
Chispa.
Like a spark, yeah. And that's a little reminder of, you know, a chispa, that's kind of a sudden, a spark, everybody who doesn't know that word. So a chispa is a spark. It's very sudden, it's short. And it has a kind of explosion, right?
Mhm.
Just like the CH sound has an explosion. Good.
Yes.
And then the SH has the shh,
long one.
the long time release, and then the vowel. Sure, chore. Yeah, good.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you can pay a little, try to carry those little memories, those little ways of remembering with you as you practice your words. Okay, Gabriela, what about you? What's a takeaway for you today? Something you remember.
I like that I was able to validate what I use in the application, because the app, by using frequently, start to show you what are your problems, right? But the app by itself cannot fix it because you need somebody to make all the move and the explanation. I like that we use the color vowel. I want to use more. Like Carol was trying to use it. I'm not that good yet. Trying to move the mouth and so on. Like the silver pin situation. And in general, I love the interaction because it's always helping you to get better. And it just go to the specific of the question you have. Like that will be difficult really when somebody's speaking, the child that always and adult always, when they made the contraction, they know that I'm speaking with a foreign, but they have been speaking for like that forever. So that's a way to pay attention, and this person is connected everything together.
Yes, that's a huge insight, Gabriela, is that we talked a little bit about connected speech, and you can use it with your own speech but even more importantly, you can start to make sense of other people's spoken English. Now that you know that we do this, right? It helps with your listening when you know, oh, they're connecting this word to that word. And that happened to me a long time ago in Spanish. I was learning a song because I play the guitar and sing, and this song is very beautiful. And it starts off with the phrase salgo a caminar, which is salgo a caminar. And I learned salgo a caminar as like one word. And then later on, I was like, oh my gosh, I understand what it says now, because singing it like that made it all connected. Salgo a caminar, and it helped me both with my spoken Spanish, but also with my understanding of how we connect speech in both languages. Right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize it, that we do a lot of linking in Spanish.
We do.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Michelle, do you have a takeaway?
Yeah, just that I don't need to listen so much and maybe teach how vowels feel in the mouth.
Yeah. Wonderful. So a little bit of that idea of the feeling of the sensation, maybe of that final T or the final D, and how it connects with the vowel just before it. Good. For our friend Alan, who raised the question about child and adult, I think he'll want a little bit more, and I'll try to leave a video over in the community, because he was also curious about the dark L, the L sound before it. And that can feel quite tricky, but I tried to move your mind to the end of the word to start with, because as my favorite saying in English goes these days, in English, we write from the left to the right side of the page. But when we speak English, we actually think to the end of what we're saying, and we accommodate everything before that. So that's my big idea for the day. I know it's a strange one, but it's something we explore more in our courses. And I'll just leave it with you as an kind of an intriguing idea. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so
All right.
much, Karen.
Thank you so much for your time, everybody. This was a fun one, and we'll be
Thank you
seeing
very
you again
much.
on the 20th, I hope. Thanks, Gabriela. Please come again.
Okay,
Be well.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.